with this list, you know, even if you just do half of these things and you put them into your life, it will change your life. And like, I'm doing this, I'm creating, I'm like a little god. You're like a little god. You just created like a little thing that wasn't in existence. Now it's in existence. Your brain is literally healing. Your body is literally healing. You're breathing deep, you're breathing heavy. It's inconvenient, it's expensive, but so is cancer. You're gazing into each other's eyes for 30, 45 minutes. You're touching each other's bodies. When you really can just sit with yourself, allow yourself to breathe, allow yourself to be, really one of the most deep ways to heal your mind and to change your state of being. Yo, what's going on, Lions? So we're just gonna dive right into it in this video. I'm going over just a list of things that you can do, scientifically proven, natural things you can do to release feel-good chemicals in your brain. One thing I'm gonna say before we dive into this list is most people know things that they can do to feel better, myself included, and we don't do them, or we skip out on them, or we do the thing that's easier, that still makes us feel good, but usually ends up coming with somewhat of a crash or bad side effects. And that would be like, instead of running, you grab a beer. Instead of meditating, you watch a movie, or you flip through social media. Instead of reading a book, you watch the news. So I just wanted to say that to really get the most out of these practices and these things is consistency and discipline. And if you just stick with it, you will be beyond the 1%, because most people know these things, but there's a difference between knowing something and actually doing it and sticking with it, and not allowing the mind to pull us back into old routines, old addictions, old habits, short-term gratification and things like that. So with this list, you know, even if you just do half of these things and you put them into your life, it will change your life, and you will be getting those feel-good chemicals on a more consistent, constant basis. So let's dive in. The first thing that we can do, but I'm gonna say can't do, is actually eliminate activities that bring in feel-bad chemicals in your brain. So the first way to get feel-good chemicals is to eliminate things that are bringing in feel-bad chemicals. Because if you're doing a bunch of healthy habits, but then you're doing something that's very toxic and very damaging, it's not even gonna matter if you're running every day, but then you come home and you jerk off to porn and you watch a bunch of news and you know, you eat a bunch of shit, then basically, yeah, you went for a run, but you're still in the negative, you're still in the red, and you're still gonna feel like shit. So here's the things you should cut out: social media, porn, news, toxic people, internet addiction, you know, partying, drinking too much, things like that, because all of these things have been proven to basically deplete your brain of, you know, serotonin, dopamine, things that make you feel good. And I mean, as we all know, these things come with their hangovers, they come with their side effects. Like, too much social media can just make you feel like self-esteem issues, insecure. Too much news can make you just feel like the world is a horrible place, and it's just like it's a general bad vibe feeling. Toxic people, I mean, that's probably the worst one. If you're around toxic people, they have a massive influence on your mind and how you think and how you feel. If they're constantly negative and they're constantly judging, then that's just gonna get etched into your psyche no matter how hard you try to avoid it. So it's basically just not overdoing anything. You don't have to completely cut this stuff out, but it's basically just not like overdoing it, you know, knowing your limit, knowing where you should stop, and where is too much. All right, number 2 is embodiment. Embodiment is bringing practices into your body. So this has long been known that when you move around in your body and you do things that get your blood pumping, that get your heart pumping, it releases natural endorphins, it releases stress, it releases tension in the body. You get into a more positive mindset. Your brain is literally healing, your body is literally healing. You're breathing deep, you're breathing heavy, and this just does so much for you. It loosens up your limbs, it loosens up your mind, you know, it brings up your libido, You basically just feel much more empowered, much more alive. And so these would be things like running, yoga, breath work, dance, boxing, any kind of Muay Thai, Tai Chi, pickleball, any sports that you play, you know, really anything where you're in your body and you are, you know, actively moving around, you're focused on it, you're in the moment, you're breathing heavy, you got the blood pumping, and basically anything like this will, you know, really help you to release these natural endorphins, this natural dopamine, and also, you know, release the toxic, negative emotions, negative chemicals in the mind as well. Plus, you look sexy and you feel good, so that's always a win. The next thing is going to be cocaine. So if you really want to get the dopamine and those feel-good things, you know, flowing through your mind, line of coke. Basically, what this is going to do is it's going to release a ton of like feel-good chemicals. Okay, that was stupid. Don't do cocaine. Don't do cocaine unless you really want to, but I suggest not doing it. Real number 3 is create. So any kind of outlet of creating, painting, writing, rapping, poems, drawing. Like, have you ever had that feeling where you're just like, you're lost in something that you're doing? You're excited about it. You're just like, wow, this is magical. Look what I'm making with my hands. And like, this has never existed before. Like this unique thing, this unique drawing. Like, I'm doing this. I'm creating. I'm like a little god. You're like a little god. You just created like a little thing that wasn't in existence. Now it's in existence, and that's pure magic. And there's something about that magic that releases just pure bliss and just like joy and excitement about life. And it's your unique way of presenting it. You know, it's your unique thing. And it doesn't really matter what anyone thinks about it. It's just like, you gave birth to that. The world didn't have that, and now it has that. And there's something that does to the mind that's just very beautiful, very healing, very lovely, very lovely. So create, write, draw. You can even create situations and scenarios with people, like create a loving situation. Go up to a stranger and like say, hey, I like your shirt. And that's literally you just created a very beautiful moment. Next is number 4. Number 4 is one of my personal favorites, which is sex. Sex. You heard me. Sex. So this is high consciousness sex, not drunk one night stand with a stranger, awkward, dick don't work, she feels weird, everybody's drunk. Not this kind of shit. This is not healing sex. I'm talking about high consciousness. You're gazing into each other's eyes for 30, 45 minutes. You're touching each other's bodies. You've got the music going. You trust this person. You know this person. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's just a wild, crazy, sexy night with some wild animal, you know, some wild animal. You're both in animal mode, but you're sober. You're sober and you're focused, and you are having sex to express your bodies and express your energies. And there's something about this connection of energies and insertion of the bodies and the receiving and the giving that you can't get this kind of connection anywhere else in reality with another person. There's no other thing that does it like sex. There's no other act that brings out the same chemicals and the same form level of connection that sex does. It's hot, it's steamy, it's a workout, and you just can like let go and just feel like a god, and she feels like a goddess, and everybody's sweating and everybody's fucking, and we're all animals, and then we're also gods and goddesses, and it's like this beautiful dance. And this has been a healing practice for centuries and millennia by different traditions. Some traditions use sex solely to reach God and for enlightenment, like Tantra, things like that, where you can literally just use sex as a tool for healing, expression, and love, creating more love in your life. Just as long as everyone's on board, everyone's agreed, you know, no one's boundaries are getting crossed, sex is a very beautiful way to have those feel-good chemicals running through your brain and through your body on a deep level. All right, next up, we've got diet and fasting. I'm just gonna touch on this really briefly, but diet, just don't eat shit. Don't eat processed shit. This is pretty basic, but alive food. So the food that you're eating should be, if you left it out, it would be like moldy and perished in like a week or two. Whether you want to go vegetarian, vegan, whatever, just make sure that it's all organic and there's no torture going on behind the food that you're eating, and that it's fresh and that it's all good, it's clean. You know, you want clean food, organic food. Along with this, fasting, intermittent fasting, and 3-day, 4-day fasts, they just reset your body. They let your digestive system take a break. They reset your mind. Fasting is extremely powerful. Gets you into a focused state. I mean, every major spiritual tradition has some sort of fasting component to it. So anyway, you tell me, but it's pretty powerful shit if you've never done it. And you might say like it's inconvenient to not really fast, but to, you know, pay extra for this organic food. You know, you kind of got to go out of your way to get like the high grade organic stuff. It's inconvenient, it's expensive, but so is cancer. So is cancer. Cancer is very inconvenient and it's quite expensive as well. So your choice, really.
Okay, next is...
All right, next up is nature. And nature is, I don't even need to explain this. Nature is deeply healing. Nature is love. Nature is where you come from. Nature is where the food comes from. It is the mother, it is the big tit. And when we go into nature, there's something that it does to our minds and our bodies and our souls, that it just re-cleanses, it regenerates us. If you're not getting out in the sun and you're not getting out in the trees and the ocean, and you're really missing out on life, because anything else that's being put above that is probably not as valuable as spending your time in nature. Almost everybody that they interview when they're on their deathbed and they're dying and they're looking back at life, they almost all have some kind of component where they say they wish they had spent more time basking in life, basking in the joy of the beauty of living and being, and the trees and the crisp colors and the breeze on your face and the sun on your skin. And it's a real shame to get to the end of your life and see how beautiful life is and never have really sat and cried by a river or danced to the sun alone or caught a wave in the ocean. It just does something that we can't do. It does something where it just the more time I spend in nature, the more and more I heal deeply, and it just does it for me. I'll feel like shit, hop in the ocean, and I come out and I'm refreshed, I'm reborn. So next is my personal favorite. I love this one, and this is meditation. And meditation is just a beautiful way to heal, cleanse your mind, detach from like these clingy things that happen. Meditation is when you really can just sit with yourself, allow yourself to breathe, allow yourself to be, and just be with whatever comes up, and just like, okay, now I'm feeling this way, or now this anxiety is here, and it's okay, or this dissatisfaction's here, and I can be with this. And it's growing your capability to just be with yourself and to love yourself. And this heals your mind and releases so many good feel-good chemicals. Meditation has been well known for thousands of years as a very beneficial practice, and it's as important, if not more important, than diet and exercise. But it's just, in the West, we're a little bit behind. But even now, we're coming up with like scientific studies and tests and brain waves, and the results are just fucking staggering. It's mind-blowing how beneficial meditation is. So this one, it has saved my life. It has changed my life. You can meditate for 10-20 minutes a day. but the longer you do it, the more benefits you get. It's kind of like and it can be hard. There's times where you want to like rip your hair out and it can be really boring and you think you're doing it wrong. But the longer you stick with it and the longer you do it, the more easy it gets. And it gets to a point where it's just something you look forward to doing, and it's pure bliss and at times. And it's just the most important practice that anyone can implement in their life. Along with that, little bonus thing to do is nothing. So meditation is more like you have a technique, or you know, you have a goal, like to clear your mind or whatever. Doing nothing is literally where you just, and I would combine this with nature, but you just sit somewhere and you just let your mind go where it wants to go, and it goes crazy, and it thinks about pink elephants having butt sex and lollipop teddy bears like sticking lollipops. I don't know, they're doing weird, it's weird, your mind's going into weird places. And basically what you need to do is just sit with it and let the mind just go through its weird fantasies and its crazy stuff, and you just stare at a tree or you just stare at the river. And eventually what happens is the mind calms down, it slows down, and you get into just a very peaceful, blissful state. And I love doing nothing. It's one of my favorite things to do. It can be very challenging at times, but every time after I do it, I feel lighter, I feel more relaxed, I feel more calm, and my brain thanks me, because we're so obsessed with doing in the West, like do, go, go, that when we can just sit and just be like, no, I don't have to do, I can just be. It does something to our minds and to our whole outlook and attitude on life. That's very refreshing and very healing. All right, guys, last one here is psychedelics, and I'm a little hesitant to say this. Biggest thing I'm going to say, I'm not going to dwell on this too much, is make sure you're psychologically stable to take psychedelics, and you spoke to a doctor, and you're doing it somewhere where it's legal, like you can do ayahuasca in Peru or mushrooms in Mexico, and you know, you don't have like a massive psychological issue, you're not on antidepressants. Okay, psychedelics are probably one of the most deep ways to heal your mind and to change your state of being, and to lighten your load. I've personally done ayahuasca, mushrooms, LSD, peyote, San Pedro, and all of these medicines have changed the way I feel, the way I see life. Sometimes it's challenging, sometimes it's very difficult, it's dark sometimes, but every time after a trip, I always come back with more wisdom, more love for life, more insights, more love for myself, more connectedness. And these medicines, these plant medicines especially, they really take you on a journey. And it's almost like a spirit or a presence is guiding you, and you're held in a way. Even when it's scary, you're held. And you know that there's a wisdom behind these plants, these medicines, that is bringing you to show you something, to bring things out, to purge things, to remove things. And it's all done from a place of love. And it is all your own mind as well. So these things that are coming out, they're projections, they're these things that you get to see. And basically it just psychedelics are just so beautiful, and they heal you on a level that meditation, even being in nature, can't do, because psychedelics are able to go into the subconscious, and they're just able to just penetrate straight through the ego and show you things and heal you in ways that normal traditional practices can't, because you're still in that me mind most of the time, not always, but you still got these blockages, you still got this shadow, where psychedelics can just plow right through and just open you up. And that's why people say one ayahuasca ceremony or shroom trip can be like 5-10 years of therapy, because it just goes straight to the root cause. Hey guys, just a quick bonus here. One of my best friends, Ozel, has actually done an ayahuasca experiment in the jungles of Peru. Every day he was out there drinking ayahuasca, measuring his brain waves, taking videos, documenting the whole thing. He was working with neurologists, scientists on this whole project. It's really badass. So check the link below to see his experiments, his progress, and what went down out there, because it is fucking wacky.
All right, guys, and the last one I'm going to give you, this is a bonus. The last one I'm going to give you is air, okay? Make sure that your air is nice and clean and pure. For me, I have some Boost Oxygen. This is what I do just to make sure, you know, all the time that I'm getting that good shit. I'm getting that good air, okay? So basically what you do here is you just
All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. And like I said, go out there and do these things, at least some of them, try them out, give them an open mind, and let me know how it went. All right, love you guys. Stay strong.